Hey guys, good afternoon. Joe of the Joe Madden Sports Podcast here, joined by Ian Cameron, host of the Ice Guys. Ian, welcome back to the show.
It's always good to be here, and we might have a Stanley Cup final on our hands after Tampa Bay gets a much-needed Game 3 victory last night. But, as we were saying before the show started, they've got to follow it up. None of this means a thing if they don't also get the job done in Game 4, making that a pivotal game tomorrow night.
Absolutely. We saw them win last night's game 6-2. Complete domination in that second period, getting those 4 goals. Ian, what did you take away from last night's game?
Well, the key for Tampa Bay, well, actually, they did give up the first goal. In fact, you could have said they gave up the first goal twice
Okay,
because
I have
the,
to ask you. Offside? Do you think it was completely offside?
What I didn't initially, wasn't sure initially,
Yeah.
and because I wasn't sure, and at the very beginning, it looked like there was no clear angle to overturn the call. You have to stay with the call on the ice, which was a good goal. But after seeing a couple more angles, as they showed more different angles of that play, it did look like the puck just barely creeped above the blue line. So it looked like they made the right call and that it was offside. But they came right back. Colorado got the go-ahead goal, 1-0. But I think the key to the entire game, Joe, was they answered with Cirelli's goal just a few minutes later. Bit of a lucky goal because, look, he kind of fanned on the shot, and it fooled Kemper. He wasn't ready for it. He was thinking he was going to shoot the puck. He ended up fanning on it. The puck just slides between the pads of Kemper. Wasn't the greatest night for Darcy Kemper, but that was the goal that really got Tampa Bay going. Again, they got a 2-1 goal from Palat right before the end of the period. And just that's when you could tell, hey, Tampa Bay's got some of their swagger back, some of their confidence back. It's not like they totally, shut down Colorado last night. Again, they did a better job than in game 1 and in game 2, no question. Colorado didn't have that wave of offensive attack, shift after shift after shift last night compared to game 1 and game 2. But they still gave up a bunch of pretty good chances to Colorado. The difference was Vasilevsky was outstanding. He clearly improved his play and looked like Vasilevsky that we have come to expect. One of the best goaltenders in the world. He played like it last night.
Absolutely. And then watching that game last night, from the second out of the gate, I really think Tampa adjusted and were playing their game. They weren't playing a reactionary game to Colorado. They were being aggressive. What was your thoughts on that?
Yes, they were, and that's the impressive part. Tampa Bay did not win this game in the fashion that I expected them to win it. Remember, I had talked about how every Tampa Bay Lightning playoff victory since and including game 7 against Toronto in the first round and every game since then that they've won, the game has stayed under the total. It's been a lower scoring game. It's been 2-1. It's been 3-1. Tampa Bay's won those kind of, lower scoring battles against teams when they've been victorious here in the playoffs. But last night, they were able to win a game 6-2, and they did it with timely offense. They did it with a goal scoring and offensive explosion, especially at 5-on-5 at even strength. The power play chipped in a goal as well, one that made me particularly happy, Joe, with Corey Perry as
Ooh,
someone that
nice.
took him to score at plus 500 to get a power play point at plus 320. A couple of those big prices cashing in with Perry's goal, which made it 6-2, and I was ecstatic about that. Great to see those props hit. But no, it was a complete effort. And look, the top players for Tampa Bay stepped up. If Steven
Absolutely.
Stamkos the captain is going to call out his team after game 2, he'd look like a pretty big chump, wouldn't he? If he didn't play well last night, after doing that, he played well. He was excellent for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Big goal, set up another goal as well. And that was something that we did not see in the first 2 games. Stamkos invisible, Kucherov invisible in the first 2 games, and both of them played well. Kucherov, though, gets hurt. That little cross check he took from Devon Taves, not fully into the boards, but he landed awkwardly and left the game due to injury. John Cooper, in his press conference this morning, said that Nikita Kucherov, he's hopeful that he's going to play in game 4, saying the guy's tough. He's going to do everything he can to play. As of right now, it's looking like he'll possibly be in, and Braden Point probably will be out for a second straight game. Cooper was very much saying doubtful for Braden Point for game 4.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we haven't been able to get him back on the ice. We saw him out for a little bit in that one game, but um let's talk about the next game.
Yep.
So we have a solid number of 6 going into this next game again. Like you said, expecting Tampa to win a game, you were looking at that under. In this one, Colorado's still coming in as a little bit of a favorite on the money line at -115. I'm seeing right now -105 for Tampa. Tampa, like you said, needs to win this game to make the last one count. Can they win another? And if they do, are you thinking this one still goes over the total?
I'm at the point now where I'm not betting an under in this
It would
series.
it would feel sickening to bet the under in this series.
Well, I don't know if every single game is going to go over, but obviously that's what's happened so far in the first 3 games. I just know that in situations like this, when the first 3 games of a series have gone over the total, by now, aren't you supposed to see some kind of adjustment in the total? Like, isn't it
Yeah.
supposed to at least have gone up a half a goal, like at least a 6.5?
And they're not
And
moving
yet
it.
we have not seen that here for game 4. The total is still 6. Pretty much across the board here. So at 6, I'm not interested in the under with
Yeah.
what we've seen. And clearly we saw from Tampa Bay, in game 3, they were able to actually win a game where it was high scoring and they got 6 goals past Darcy Kemper. And of course, I think one of those was past Pavel Francouz after he replaced
Yes.
Darcy Kemper last night. But yeah, that's now 3 overs in this series, all of them getting to at least 7 goals. I would only be looking over the total. As far as the side, that's the tricky part. Are we going to see a Nazem Kadri sighting? I think because now they finally lost a game in this series, you're going to see Nazem Kadri back for Colorado in game 4. He made the trip to Tampa Bay with the team, which tells you he's close. It tells you, Joe, he's very close to returning. And it's just a question of when is he ready and when's the perfect time to bring him back? Well, he might have been ready in game 3, but you know what coaches are like when you have a winning lineup, you've won the first 2 games, you just pummeled Tampa 7-0. You're not going to alter a winning lineup. Things are don't upset the apple cart. You had a big 2 wins against Tampa. This lineup's working right now. There's no need to rush Kadri back. But now you've lost a game, and that for the first time in this series. So this is the perfect opportunity potentially for Jared Bednar to get Nazem Kadri back into the lineup here for the Colorado Avalanche. So we'll have to see about that. I am leaning Colorado right now. I really liked Tampa Bay, especially in the first period last night. I figured, look, if they're going to get one game at least in this series, or if you're going to get their absolute best, it's going to be this game down 2-0, returning home. I don't want to say complacency for Colorado, but I figured there'd be a whole lot of urgency from the Tampa Bay Lightning, and we pretty much saw that throughout the game last night. But I think Colorado should still feel like we outshot them last night, 39-32. It's not like we were awful. They capitalized on pretty much every good chance they had, and we faced Andrei Vasilevsky playing by far the best game he's played in this series. We didn't really hate our effort. I think it's a situation where if you're Colorado, you just try to tweak some things, and you've got a chance to bounce back. It's also worth noting, we haven't seen Colorado off a loss very often here in the playoffs. The only previous losses for them were game 2 at home against St. Louis and game 5 at home against St. Louis as well. And what did they do? They went on the road the next game and they bounced back and they won.
Absolutely.
So they're 2-0 off a loss here in the playoffs. And that has me leaning Colorado. Tampa got their win last night. They did what they had to do, but it's not like this was a pillar to post domination for Tampa Bay. And if you watch that third period, I mean, it could have been 6-5, in a blink of an eye, if not for the missed nets, the posts, blocked shots by Tampa Bay. Vasilevsky just playing outstanding. That was a big time push by Colorado in the third period, and it just didn't result in any goals for them. And a brutal beat, too, if you had the team total. I mean, it was 2.5 for Colorado, and they had all those chances, Joe, in the third period that end up falling by the wayside. So if you had that team total, that was tough. But right now I'm leaning to Colorado at the moment. And I'll say one last thing about McKinnon here. People are getting on McKinnon now, Joe, about the lack of goal scoring production. He doesn't have a goal yet in this series. Nathan McKinnon through the first 3 games, and he was finally asked about it last night by the media, especially after they lost, saying, are you concerned? There's that word again. Are you concerned about, not being able to produce yet offensively here in this series? And McKinnon was pretty professional about it. He said, no, I'm not concerned. I'm fine. I know what I've got to do, and I know how I've got to play the next game. And I think now that he's being questioned a little bit by the media for no goals in the series in the first 3 games, you watch him in game 4
Hat
now.
trick. Hat
He's
trick
going to
in
end up
game 4.
coming alive.
That's what we saw. He was criticized about the Edmonton series, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Criticized,
exactly.
he came back with that hat trick. So I think there's worth sprinkling on him getting a hat trick in the next game. That would be phenomenal if he could pull that out. Let's talk about this first period. We've seen outstanding first periods in all of these games so far, the first 3. All have been high scoring. We've got a total of 1.5 for that first period. It is juiced at -138. Would you be willing to take the over in the first period? And if so, would you also be willing to take the Abs to get that first goal? Because that is the trend that we have been seeing.
I wouldn't say no to either. I
Okay.
wouldn't say no to either. I mean, you look at the way this series has gone. We've gone over the total in every game. We've gone over the total in every first period so far in this series. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, especially if you've been riding it. Like, certainly if you've been betting the over full game, over first period in the first 3 games of this series, I say bet it again, because I'm one of those bettors and handicappers that I ride a streak when I'm on one. For a
Absolutely.
certain team or a certain total or whatever the case may be. So, if you've had success with that, I would say stick to it. But like I said, I think you're going to see Colorado push back pretty strong. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm sure Jared Bednar will go back to Darcy Kemper. I know he will. He's going to give him another shot to bounce back. This was not his best game by any stretch of the imagination, not at all. And Kemper, I don't want to say you could have really, really blamed him for all the goals that went in, but there were a couple that you'd like to see him maybe make the save. He wasn't sharp. We'll see if he plays better in game 4, but is he doubting his confidence a little bit? We'll have to wait and see. But I do think Colorado will play better, and I think McKinnon will finally get on the scoreboard with a goal and actually find the back of the net, because you look at McKinnon and what you look at actually every great player, so the players that are the absolute best in their sport. What do they do when the media is kind of haranguing them a little bit about, hey, you haven't scored in a few games? What did Michael Jordan do after a mini drought? He shut him up,
Yeah.
and he had a big game. What did Wayne Gretzky do many years ago? He quieted them down and had a big game. The absolute best players in the sport, stepped up. Tom Brady, if he had a bad game, would he have bounced back the next time? Or when the media starting to say, hey, Tom, not as many touchdowns there last Sunday. What's up with that? Watch him the next game. He's probably going to end up lighting it up and lighting up the secondary of whoever he's playing. So the absolute best players in their respective sport, as soon as the media starts tweaking them a little bit about, hey, got a couple games without a goal here, that's usually the time to buy low and bet on them.
Absolutely. Talking about lighting it up, your betcast has been a straight money, Ian. Tell everyone about your Wednesday night show, what they can expect coming on there, because if people aren't checking it out, they're missing out on free money for sure.
Well, they're missing out on free money and a great time and a whole lot of fun.
Absolutely.
I mean, these are fun betcasts. I mean, we just I was drinking a lot last night on the Betcat beers and Pink Whitneys and you name it. It's
Ooh,
just
you
fun. It's
mix?
like a bar and a pub.
Did you mix your Pink Whitney or did you drink it straight?
Straight, yeah.
Oof,
Yeah.
that stuff is
You gotta
dangerous,
have
Ian.
guts. Yep, you gotta have guts to do that. I agree, which I do. But no, the betcasts are fun. We have had them throughout the regular season on the Ice Guys show. We've had them every week during the Stanley Cup playoffs. And tomorrow night might be the very last betcast, because our schedule is we're going to have one for game 4 on Wednesday night, tomorrow night for this game. But our next one is going to be game 7, if there is one. And that's next Tuesday, June 28th. And there may not be a game 7. So this could be the final betcast of the season for the Ice Guys show on Wednesday night for game 4. So if you're interested, 8:00 p.m. Eastern, tune in live. We post the links on YouTube. And if you wish to join us on the betcast, on the stream with me, Alex B. Smith, Andrew McGinnis, our crew, all of our viewers and listeners, special guests that join on the betcast, if you want to join us, just email me, bobano350@gmail.com, or send me a DM on Twitter, and I will send you the link for the betcast so you can be on the betcast with us. And again, it's come and go as you please. You don't have to stay on for the whole game. You can stay on for one period. You can even just be on for 5 minutes, whatever. But feel free to join us. It could be the last betcast of the season, and we'll have our daily Ice Guys show tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern as well to preview game 4.
Absolutely. You guys make sure you check that out. Check out the Ice Guys, everything Ian has going on. Ian, I can't wait for that betcast. I'm definitely jumping on tomorrow. I have a little bit of FOMO. Hate when I have to leave it, but it's always a good time. So, Ian, thank you so much. Where can people find you on socials?
Yeah, Twitter at Bobano if you want subscription sports betting service from me, which is going well in multiple sports right now. We update the records daily on Twitter. You can email me, bobano350 at gmail.com. We've got football subscriptions now available too, because NFL and college are going to be here before you know it. So that's available. You can find me on Pub Sports Radio. I'll be doing the MLB show later today, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on Pub Sports Radio, and shows throughout the week with Betting with the Bag with Jimmy on Fridays. So it's still doing lots with Pub Sports Radio as well throughout the summer months. And again, follow me on Twitter at Boban, free picks and opinions daily, and lots of my own opinions and unfiltered. We let loose. We don't hold anything back on Twitter. That's for sure.
Ian Unfiltered. I like it, especially after a couple of shots of that Pink Whitney. Ian, thank you so much for joining me here on the Joe Madden Sports Podcast. It was a pleasure. Best of luck in all of your bets today, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, great stuff. Thanks, Joe. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.